So, in a rare feat for the Atlanta Hawks last night, who beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in what was a really good game. And look, the Hawks now have won the season series against the Cavs, who are definitely one of the real up and coming franchises in the NBA. Right? I mean, they added Donovan Mitchell. I think they're fourth in the East. They clinched a playoff spot the other night. Like, they're one of the real up and coming franchises. The fact that we won the season series, it tells you that we can play with some of these really good teams. But something that I looked up myself and did the numbers and everything on. So Trae Young had a tough night last night, right? I think he was 4 for 15 in the game. At one point, I think he was 0 for 7 or 0 for 8 in the game. Definitely couldn't get on track offensively. DeJounte Murray had a big night for the Hawks, but Trae Young only ended up with 4 field goals in the game last night. 4 for 15. He was 2 for 3, but 4 for 15 shooting from the field, okay? And I looked all this up myself. Believe it or not, the Hawks in Trae Young's career, where he only has 4 or less field goals made in a game, okay? They are 12 and 38 when he has 4 or less field goals in a game made. They are 2 and 9 over the last 2 seasons, and they were 0 and 6 this year when Trae Young had 4 or less field goals made. Now, that's an incredible stat because, again, we talk about sort of as Trae Young goes, the Hawks really go with it. So the fact that, and this is where, again, this is where I want to see DeJounte Murray, because DeJounte Murray was the difference in that game last night, right? And there are many of these games. Think about, truthfully, you look back where this Hawks team would be if they didn't have DeJounte Murray. We could talk about it's a failure and all these different things because the record isn't there. And I saw some people say, well, they can't have 2 ball dominant guards. Well, how about Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell? Like, those guys are 2 ball dominant guards. They're working out just fine. They're making it work just fine. So that's not the problem. But if you didn't have DeJounte Murray, think about how many of these games that the Hawks would have lost. Going into last night, when you're 12 and 38, when Trae Young only makes 4 or less field goals, because you're going to have off nights, right? I mean, Trae Young is not immune to having an off night, but it does tell you how much that this franchise has relied on Trae Young to be their offensive leader over the last few years. And the fact that you got a win last night because of everybody else kind of contributing, you got 29 out of DeJounte Murray. You got a dozen points and 10 boards out of Clint Capella. You got a dozen points and 7 boards. You got Okongwu with 21 points off the bench last night. He was 5 for 5, and most impressively, he was 11 for 12 from the free throw line. So the fact that he got to the free throw line does speak volumes about how much he was active on the offensive side of the ball. But 5 for 5 with 11 for 12 from, I'll take that every night, right? Again, we'd always take it every night. But again, this is why I want to see what a full season with Quinn Snyder and Trae Young and DeJounte Murray can come up with and put together. What can that threesome do? More than what the other pieces are going to be, okay? Because this team is going to be led by Quinn Snyder, Trae Young, DeJounte Murray. Now, that's assuming DeJounte Murray is here and they don't go and make a move, for, trading him or whatever like that, if they don't think they can extend him or sign him or anything like that. Again, this is what I hope for, is that if you can find a way to get Quinn and Trae and DeJounte all together and on the same page, you can afford to not have Trae Young have a good night. The fact that you beat a number 4 playoff caliber, look, a really good franchise, a really good team right now in the Cavs on a night when Trae Young does not play well, that speaks volumes about, okay, and I know it's a microcosm. I know it's just one incident, okay? But you have to start somewhere. And the fact let me put it this way. That's a game the Hawks would not have won earlier this year, years past, and different things like that. So when we talk about the coaching aspect, okay, because again, I'm not putting this all on Nate McMillan. This is not all Nate's fault. It certainly is part of his fault, and he certainly has a definite hand in why the Hawks are where they're at and different things like that. But it's not all of Nate's fault. But if we can improve in how we are able to figure out a way to win games when our superstar doesn't have his best night. Because again, before last night, they were 12-38 when Trae Young isn't making shots. And a lot of that came from his first few years. They were 0-6 before last night when he only made 4 or less field goals. So when you don't get a big night out of Trae, you have to be able to adapt and find a way. Because again, Trae Young's not going to have a great night every single night over an 82-game schedule. And you have to be able to rely on other pieces, whether that is DeJounte, whether that is Clint Capella, whether that is John Con. I don't care per se what the name on the back of the jersey is that helps this team win. I just want to see them win, right? I don't want the labor pains. I just want the baby. So this is why I'm excited about what can happen with this franchise, because that was a game that earlier in the year or over the last couple of years that the Hawks would not have found a way to win. That was a game that they would have absolutely lost. And listen, they only won by 2 points. So you see that margin of error that is so thin. And when your superstar is 4 for 15 from the field, that's not a game you should normally win. But because of the contributions of DeJounte Murray, Okongwu, and other little pieces and things like that, they found a way to win, where in the past, they haven't been able to do that. That's what gets me excited about moving ahead with what this Hawks franchise can be. All right, let's talk about our friends over at Built Bar. Listen, as we're headed toward the Final Four, you can get in on the Built March Madness bracket. Head to BuiltMarchMadness.com today and put your vote in for your favorite bar or marshmallow puff. So listen, here's what we've got going on. When you go to BuiltMarchMadness.com and vote for your favorite bar or puff, you will be entered into a drawing where 50 lucky Locked On listeners will get a free box of Built Bars. And not only that, but one lucky Locked On fan is going to win a 12-month subscription to have Built Bars delivered right to your door. So listen, no matter what your flavor of regular protein bars is, whatever your flavor is your favorite for your protein-infused marshmallow puff, you can head to Built March Madness today and cast your vote and support your favorite bar or puff and be entered in for a chance to win either a free box of Built Bars or, most importantly, that 12-month subscription. Head to Built.com today and check it out, BuiltMarchMadness.com, to get your vote and cast it in.